everyone. It's 2:30 on the dot. Just before we actually get started, I just want to do a quick poll just to see who is visiting us today. I'll go ahead and launch it right now. Can you please select your industry? Thank you, everyone. I'll go ahead and close the poll. It looks like most of our visitors today are wholesalers, so let's get started. So, hi, everyone. Thank you again for coming to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about managing customers through Komet 101. One second. All right, my name is Karina Hernandez. I'll be your host today. I'm actually from the customer success team. And before we actually get started, I'll mention these important notes. Just a reminder, everyone should be muted. The questions are addressed at Q&A, and session will be recorded and shared at once completed. Also, I would like to share the agenda with you guys. We're going to be talking about the key first-time customer settings. We'll also be talking about customer-specific pricing, markups, and e-commerce configurations. Along that, must-know aspects of days of service and ship-tos, and customer basics. In regards to the key first-time customer settings, we're going to be mentioning or focusing on default shipping notes, pull date settings. This is mainly for mass market customers. Group code, or in reality group field. This is in regards for payments. The CRM link. And for customer-specific configurations, we're going to be talking about default price, price speed, and sell fast. We'll also be mentioning e-commerce views and markups, the finance charge, as payment upon confirmation, and invoice disclaimer. And for the customer card basics, we're going to be going over some of the information on the customer dashboard, notes, documents by customer. So let's get started. Give me one moment. Sorry, right here I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on the customer setup screen. Let's look, for example, the setup for AB Flower Shop. We're going to click on edit, go to advanced options, and we're going to be focusing on some of the settings here. So today I'll begin by talking about the default shipping notes. These notes right here, if you click here, view notes, these notes are going to be automatically added for every invoice made to the specific customer you're assigning them to. This will appear on the pick ticket for the warehouse to see. So this is mainly used, for example, if you have a customer that has specific instructions for, through the warehouse process. So you could enter it here, and this will be printed on the pick ticket as I mentioned. Along that, we're going to go down to require UPC pull date. This when enabled, if we read here, this option when enabled is going to require the user to enter a pull date. So let's say a salesperson creates a pre-book with a product that requires a UPC number. The system is going to require the sales rep to enter the pull date. This setting goes along with default pull date days, and these are mainly focused for those companies that have customers for mass market. For the default days here, you could enter the max number of days after the truck date that the product will be available at the store. So let's say, for example, we enter 5 days here, and we have a pre-book that has a truck date of the April 1st. If we enter the 5 days here, the product should not be at the store after 4/5. Okay? Along that, going down in order, I would also like to mention this one right here as payment upon confirmation. We recommend this setting for those companies that are wholesalers. So what this does is this, before they, when a sales rep or the user is creating an invoice for a customer, once they add the order and I'm sorry, once they add products to the order, if they try to confirm, a pop-up will actually appear before they can actually proceed to confirm, asking them to enter the payment information. The great thing about this is that once the user enters the payment information, it's actually going to be registered on the payment history screen, and the invoice will already appear as paid. So that's a plus there. Moving along that, we have here the invoice disclaimer, and a few companies usually have like a disclaimer for as company, but here you could actually set up a specific disclaimer for the customer, and whatever you enter here, it's going to appear on the invoice that are sent to this specific customer. In this case, our customer AB Flower Shop. Okay, moving along that, we'll have here the setting default price. Here, you have the option of assigning either price A or price B, and this is the price that the system will and assign to the customer instead of using, for the customer. So let's say if you assign price B, whenever your sales rep enters an invoice for the customer, the system will take the price B price that you have defaulted under your inventory pricing for that specific product. Okay, and then also keep in mind that if you guys are using price list or want to use price list, this should always be set to price B. Okay, moving along that, we have here an option called sell fast markup. Here you could enter, no, I'm sorry, not the sell fast markup. Oh yes, here, sorry, yes, the sell fast markup. Here you could enter a percentage or a dollar amount, as you could see here, percent or dollar, and this value can either be negative or positive, so that the system can apply it on top of the inventory price for those items that are marked as sell fast. If no sell fast markup is entered, it's going to just take the price that you have in the inventory pricing screen. Moving along that, we have here a field called group. A lot of our users actually are not aware of this field, and this field refers to group payments. So let's say you have different customers who process their payments by group instead of by customer. You can assign a group name to each customer that belongs to that group. So when you go to the receipt payment screen and enter the group name, all open invoices for those customers that belong to that group will appear. So let's say this customer we have a group name as 123, and you have another customer, let's say ABC Flowers, and if we select, we enter also in that setup 123 for that other customer. Once you go into the receipt payment screen and you enter the group name 123, it's going to show all your open invoices for those two customers or customers that belong to that group. Okay, moving along that, I've mentioned here the events information, the few ones that we wanted to point out. Oh, something here that I forgot, the finance charge percentage. As company, there's actually a company setting that you can set up to a finance charge, and this is used for like customers that are behind in or are in arrears with their payments. So normally in that company setting, you set up a percentage that's company wide. But here with this option, you could actually enter a different percentage that will be charged to that customer. And also, if you have customers that you don't want to apply this percentage, you could actually enter the value here to 0. And when you do so, this is the percentage that the system will take into account for that specific customer. Moving along that, we have here the e-commerce settings, and wanted to mention a few important settings here. As you can see here, you have your max age and your minimum age. And as you guys know, normally for the e-commerce, as company, you have a maximum and minimum age for the products that are going to be shown. But here, if you have a specific customer that you want them to see more or less of a product depending on the age, you could set a value here. So if let's say you enter here 5, and in your worldwide company you have 10, For this specific customer, when they actually enter the e-commerce, it's only going to show product that are with a maximum age of 5 days here. Here you also have the option, or the setting here, display vendor. You have the option if you want your customers to be able to see the vendor name or the code. If you don't want them to see, from what vendor you're providing, you have the option to enter here as no. Okay, along that, another field that is pretty useful, it's called send checkout notifications to. Normally, when a customer checks out, a notification is automatically, sent to the salesperson that the customer has assigned to. But if you want, a different email to also be in copy, and every time a checkout is done, you can enter it here, and you have the option to enter as many emails as you want that you would want to them to receive a copy of that checkout notification that was done by the customer. And if you want to enter more than one email, all you have to do is enter the semicolon and then enter, or followed by the next email. Okay. Moving along that, we have here the e-commerce markup, and this is a markup, as its name says, is going to be mainly focused to the to that specific customer, and this can be either a dollar amount or percentage. So if normally you have a product at 250 and you have this markup, is going to charge that 1% on top of that for the e-commerce when he logs in. So he's going to be seeing the product with that markup that you have entered here. Okay. Moving along that, we have here the customer's GPM. A lot of our users have gotten confused with this customer's GPM, and I wanted to clarify that this GPM does not affect like the company's GPM. This is, for example, if your customer asks that he would like to know what price he would need to sell his product for in order to make his margin. You could enter that value here. So when the customer places the order, additional column called the suggested price will appear. So he or she knows that in order to make that margin, he would have to sell that product for the price shown there. In this specific here, we have 45%. So it would show a 45% GPM on the suggested price. Okay, excuse me. Here we have the customer experience. Another feature that we have is that, give me one second. Okay, here we have the option to actually set the customer experience on the e-commerce. We have something that's called the visual. So here you have, this is mainly focused if you have like customers that you want them to see more of images, as you could see a quick preview here. So it's very important that if you decide to use this option, you make sure to upload all your pictures. Give me one second. I'm getting a little cough. All right, thank you. Around that, we also have the option of list, which is what you guys have been more accustomed to, where it's going to be more of like the list. So it all depends on how you would like the customer to see this. There has been already a webinar that talks more about the specific of this. So if you guys are interested, you can see that in our resources. All right. Moving along that, now we're going to focus on some of the tabs up here. We have a tab called for contacts. Here you could enter the customer's contacts, and to add a new contact, all you have to do is click here, add new contact, and you have the information to enter for that customer, the name, phone number, email, any description that you want to enter for that contact. And if you want to select like a type, you can do so as well. Moving along that, we have here the days of service. This is pretty useful. Normally, on e-commerce, you can set it up for the carrier for the customer when he purchases, to either have all the carriers available or have them only default to whatever you have here. So whatever carrier you set up for each day here, when a sales rep tries to make an order for that specific customer on the selected day, so let's say Thursday, it's going to appear as Air Canada. Air Canada. Okay, so this is pretty useful. So that like I mentioned, the sales rep gets defaulted when they were trying to make an order, and also when the customer goes into e-commerce and places an order. Moving on that, we have here the ship tos. If you have a, I'm sorry, let me click. Okay, if you have a customer that has different ship tos, the product can be ship to, sorry about the repetition, you could actually add the ship tos here. For instance, this example, this customer has three ship tos that the product can be sent to, and this is useful. So when a sales rep is placing an order in the order entry screen or a pre-book, if they want to add the ship to, it's already going to be pre-selected based on what they want to, which one they want to select from the list. Something that's pretty useful here as well, we have a tab for documents. We know for the in the industry, it's very important to keep track of certain documents for your customer, and instead of having them in like a different file or anything like that, you actually have the option here to select it, or I'm sorry, or upload them to the customer so they appear right here. Uh, some of like the common examples we have is the authorization form, the credit application, and the non-disclosure agreement. You can have different options. Also, keep in mind that if you want to select or add a new option, you will need to get in contact with the customer success team at support@cometsales.com and ask to add a new option. This is a non-administrable, so that's why we have to do it. So once we process that, you'll see that new form that you would like here. And like I said, you could drag it the files here, and it's gonna stay within the customer's record. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and close that. And something else I wanted to mention is the customer card here. Oh, sorry. Okay, dashboard. Here. So we have here the customer's dashboard, and this is like a very quick overview for the sales rep to have the information in hand for the customer. So here they have a section for the 2 day sales, a section for the aging. So whatever open invoices they have, depending on the period. We have also the week sales based on the week, so Monday, Wednesday. Okay. Moving along that, we have here also the sales by month. Okay, here the sales by month. It's going. They can see a quick glimpse of what the customer has bought or purchased eh, for the specific month. So here, since we're in April, it's showing up all the sales up to April so far today. I'm sorry. All right, moving along that, you have the customer's info. It gives you a brief like overview of the customer info. Here you have customer since. So that, for example, this customer was created or since 2014. Their last payment dates, if they have any open credits, their last sales, and their last payments. Along that, they have here the GPM and also the top products they purchase products, or I'm sorry, their top products that they usually purchase. Okay, moving along that, we have another tab here for notes. These notes, you could add any notes you would like in regarding that customer. For example, here we have some examples of like if you add or remove a credit limit, it's going to be reflected here. Also, if you want to add a note and you want to make it private, so only like an admin or accounting roles are visible. This note, do you have this option? So let's say we put here something like the new contact is Danny. For let's say we can just go ahead and save, and it's gonna be added right here, and it's gonna say posted when and the time, and also by whom. Okay, so that's pretty useful to share information. And okay, that's about it there. Okay, so give me one moment. Yeah, so basically, like I mentioned, this was a pretty brief overview of the customer settings. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed to the Q&A session. So let's get started. All right. So we're just have if you guys have any questions, please feel free to enter them here so we can. go ahead and address them in this session. All right. So I see a few questions. We actually have three. We have one by Eduardo, and I see here one question. If I have a company-wide invoice disclaimer and also a customer-specific disclaimer, which one will show on the invoices? Like I mentioned, for let's say this, let's for that specific customer, if you enter an invoice disclaimer, it's gonna take the disclaimer that you entered for that specific customer. But for every other customer, if they don't have a specific invoice disclaimer, it's gonna take the company one. Okay. Let me see. I have another question. Okay, this person had to leave. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us. And now we have one from Sean. When setting up a new customer, is the main location set automatically? Well, it depends. If for companies that have or multi locations or have different multiple locations, sorry, it's not automatically defaulted. If as you remember, when you have a customer, you can associate them to different locations. So the main location that you enter is whatever location they usually purchase the most from. That would be the one that you assign to. If it's a customer that only has one main location and is only associated to one main location, it's gonna automatically default to that location they have. Okay? Does anybody have any more questions? All right. Thank you everyone that joined us today. Also remember that if you have any questions, you could always contact us directly through email at support@commoncells.com or give us a call. Myself or any coworker from the customer success team will be gladly to assist you. Also, like in other webinars in the past, we're going to go ahead and email the attendees the recording for this webinar. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Bye bye.